back, beautiful people. This is the second hour of LoveBabz, Love Talk on Babz Rawls-Ivy. I am so delighted to have Jarron Long join me this morning from the Yale Undergraduate Jazz Collective. I knew your predecessor.
Oh, wow.
He came on a couple of times, and we had great conversations about the Yale Undergraduate Jazz Collective. And you all are back
We are.
from the pandemic and allowing not just the Yale folks, but all kinds of folks to come and be a part of this wonderful music that you're putting together. Now, let me tell you, the Jazz Collective promotes a community of music education, exposure on and beyond Yale's campus, as well as lobbying for a formal jazz curriculum at Yale. They organize numerous free concerts, jam sessions, talks, masterclass, and more. And every year they organize a jazz festival at Yale, a student-run celebration of jazz, and they brought in artists from around the country to perform for educate Yale students, and that is very true. I first came to know of the festival maybe several years ago, when it was like a week long thing, and it was all over like it was at the museum, it was at one of the head houses, it was all over the place, and it was amazing. And it ran up against the African Students Festival too. They had a festival too, and so we were running back and forth between the two festivals. It was great. So good morning, Jarron Long. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Good
How
morning.
are
Thank you
you?
so much for having me. I'm doing well this morning.
I enjoyed. Listen, last night was amazing.
Absolutely. So glad you enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh. It's been a minute since you could gather in a space
hmm
and hear some really good music. I've been trying to catch a lot of live music because the pandemic just shut everybody down.
Absolutely. It's not the
So
same watching the
it's
live
it
streams
is
or
not. I mean, I'm grateful that we're able to sort of do that,
hmm
but there's nothing like being in community with folks. So when did you take over?
Well, it was, I guess, the spring of last year we had our turnover. And so since the summer and on, just been helping to organize things with the collective. It's been really fun. Yeah.
Has it been fun?
Absolutely. We're all a very collaborative team. We've got mixes of people from all years and studying all sorts of things, but we all come together once a week usually and just talk about what we can do on campus and in the community.
Okay. Now, are you I would imagine you are a musician.
I am, yes. I
And so
play
what
a
is your instrument?
saxophone and drums.
Oh, okay. All right. So now when did you start? When did your parents start making you take lessons?
I'm told that I was hitting things at a young age, and so I think they directed me towards maybe not hitting household objects. So I started doing some drum lessons when I was, I think, about 6, and then saxophone was in middle school. There was a band, and that was the instrument I picked.
Now, I take it you're a Yale student.
I am.
What year are you in?
I am now a junior, soon to be senior, though it does not feel like it at all.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, COVID really did a number on us. It was the spring of our first year where we went home. And so it was quite some time before we came back and virtual. And this is actually the first full year of classes that we've had right now in person. So it's been an adjustment, but I'm glad that I've made it this far. There's a lot of people that take gap years. And so we're still adjusting with having different years around, et cetera.
And where's home for you?
For me, it's Chicago.
Oh,
Yep,
the Windy City.
absolutely.
So I know your parents are like, you're not taking a gap year. You're gonna go head on
Yep,
and
yep. Nope, not
I don't know
happening.
where you think you're gonna do that at, but you're gonna finish this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so why'd you come to Yale? Did you come to Yale to study music, or do you have another avocation?
I did not. I definitely, the fact that there was a music scene and a student led music scene when it comes to jazz was definitely one of the factors I think wanted me to come here. But I'm a sociology major, and yeah, just social sciences is the academic side of things I do. But music is also a big part of my life too, so I'm glad I can do both.
Wow, that's pretty good. All right, so when did y'all start planning this particular jazz festival? Because this one doesn't have like a chock full of things, but what you
Mhm.
do have is, I mean, all of it is always quality folks. I mean, just world class. I am always impressed. I have more CDs from folks than I can tell you. Um, so tell me, how'd you put this particular festival together? What was the thinking?
Well, it's been in the works for quite some time. We were even, starting to think about it over the summer of last year and just getting all the artists that could potentially be available, starting to mark them down. The main, I guess, complicating factor is that Yale's COVID policies have really shifted a lot over that time. And so we've had to go back and forth over what things we can do during the year with small concerts and then what things we can and save for the festival. So I think the main gathering of the folks for this festival really started this winter. We were fortunate to have a lot of connections with various people in the jazz world who've really helped us out. And yeah, I think we settled on maybe the smaller array just because adjusting back into in person, it's been kind of hectic training folks into this is how we do an in-person festival because it's new for a lot of us members too. But yeah, really happy we were able to get, like you say, these world-class artists.
I mean they really are. I mean, I so enjoyed Jonathan Kreisberg last night. I mean, I mean, the trio can really swing, I mean, they really were swinging. And then you've got Jeff Fuller, who is a Connecticut New Haven treasure.
Yes, yes.
Um, so that's a wonderful grounding. And then you have Melanie Charles. I don't know her work, but I'm excited to sort of hear her. And then that rounds out the annual jazz festival. But y'all now, I know you've been doing smaller concerts throughout the year, but
Hmm.
they weren't open to the public. Are y'all still doing them at the Undercross? What is it, the Undercross?
Yeah, there's
Under
the
the
Underbrook.
Underbrook? The
Hmm.
Underbrook.
Hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, when we were doing those, is yeah, the policy was not allowing us to have normally like we do open those up to the public. But fortunately now, I guess things have settled down enough that they're letting us bring in vaccinated public, and we're looking forward to doing that more in the coming years too.
So are you planning for those kinds of concerts now? I mean, like after the festival, what
Hmm.
happens?
Hmm. After the festival, I think our plan is we've got a good group of new members ready to go, and so it's going to
Really?
be.
That quickly?
Yeah, this is our
Wow.
turnaround time, and so we're gonna be, I guess, inducting them into the collectives board and starting to work, show them the ropes, and then yeah, start looking into artists and what different things we can get into next school year.
And do you stay on until you graduate?
I think on the board, yes, but we're gonna switch out presidents. I think we do that every year.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
So tell me your first awareness of jazz and what made you love it.
Hmm. I think it was that first drum teacher I had was I guess a jazz fan. And so at first it was a fan of a lot of kinds of music. I got to play like rock music though. He was a Motown fan. But at a certain point you start putting on the jazz CDs and I don't know, I really enjoyed just listening to the ways that these musicians without having a preset idea of what they're gonna do, sort of spontaneously are able to come up with this art form together. And it's just really fun, I guess, on drums too. You're sort of there, I guess, encouraging these improvisers and figuring out a way to make the environment fit the various ideas they're just coming out of their heads. And same thing with the saxophone, being able to be a part of, spontaneous melodies and harmony. It's just so much fun to play with other people, especially the interaction really
Hmm.
is fun for me.
So I know there's I think there's a black musician component to the Yale undergrad jazz collective. I think
Mm,
with Wayne Escoffrey, and
mm,
at least I saw something like that a
mm,
while back. So can you talk a little bit about um how do you marry the two groups if you can? Because
mm.
jazz is decidedly a very black gift to the world, right?
Absolutely.
its roots are Black. Its history is Black.
Hmm.
So how do you and but there's a lot of white folks that really really love jazz, and some will say that it is white people that keep the medium alive on a lot of levels commercially.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, coming into the collective, and Yale in general being, a majority white institution and the collective as well. I mean, from coming from Chicago and the environment I was in, it's definitely a shift. I remember, like, I think I showed some pictures to people back home. They're like, "Oh, wow, this is different." I was like, "Yeah, but we're all playing this music together." And I think what really counts is remembering and paying homage to that history that you're talking about. Something in the jazz ensemble that we're trying to do more of is talking about the history behind the composers and the players of the pieces that we're working on. And I think that really makes a difference. You have to have an idea of who these people were, the men and women who, were going through so much in their lives and still making this incredible music that, we're able to benefit from today. I think that's very important.
I love that thinking. I did not know that Yale didn't have a jazz curriculum, which
Mm.
is interesting because there's so much music that comes out of that university. I mean, the Duke Ellington series that came out of there. Really Rough, who was there, who retired a few years back, who really took the Duke Ellington jazz uh, uh, festival program to a whole new level and brought it to an audience. So it's interesting that they don't have a curriculum. So has it been a surprise to you to come to Yale and to practice music? Like, did you think that you were going to be able to do that? I know you got folks coming in, right?
Yeah. I know when I first came to Shadow, I was fortunate enough they put me with one of the jazz musicians on campus, and so I was able to sort of get shown the ropes that
Was that
way.
on purpose or was that just
Oh, it was definitely
sort
on
of
purpose.
really because they knew you were a musician?
Right. They knew that was one
Okay.
of the things I was interested in. So I was, fortunate to get sort of told what the deal was. The fact that yeah, there isn't this formal curriculum, but that students have been working to really help keep the jazz scene alive at Yale, despite that. And that's how I first heard about the collective.
Mm. Now, do you listen to a lot of jazz on your own time?
I do, I do. There's a radio station back home that we're fortunate to have that is very jazz oriented, and I can like get it here. They have like through one of my friends' smart speakers. But besides that, just listening to as much as I can is really fun.
And so, what else do you listen to? Like, if you had to tell me what's on your playlist, what's on it?
Well, besides jazz, I think there'd probably be a lot of 80s music. I can thank my parents for that. 80s pop, 80s R&B. Uh, no shortage of that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. Well, your parents would be my parents. So yes. I mean, your parents would be me because
Uh,
that's a good genre of music. So who do you like in the jazz world? Like who's your favorite? I mean, I know you're a drummer and you play another instrument, but
mm-hmm.
who I mean, who do you have affinity for?
Mm. Well, let's see. Uh, I'm a really, really big fan of Latin jazz, and I'm also a really big fan of jazz fusion, so sort of jazz and rock. And for a while, I was just listening to a whole bunch of Chick Corea. Um, yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah. So that was definitely one of my faves. But um, besides that, I like listening to the melodies and songs. So really melodic players. I'm a big fan of. For a while, guitar wise, I got on a whole Pat Metheny thing quite some time. But then, of course, you got the classics. I mean, Miles and Coltrane, and fan of those as well.
And we're celebrating 100 years of we're celebrating the 100th birthday of Mingus, and
Absolutely. Yep.
and everybody's having all these celebrations all over the place, particularly in New York. And so it's wild to think, he would be 100 years old.
It is. We're doing for the jazz ensemble. We're going to be performing in New York next week and performing Mingus tunes for that. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That is what.
it
Where are you
is
gonna do it
wild.
at Carnegie Hall? Where are you doing it at?
We're
Somewhere.
at Dizzy's club.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, Jazz at Lincoln Center. That's pretty cool. Are you excited about that?
I am. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, the tunes are really great. A lot of them I didn't know, but Mingus is just incredible as a composer and player.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, that is amazing. So I love that you have your academic studies, which is so not jazz, or maybe it
Mhm.
is on some level, and then you get to sort of do this music with other folks who probably is not their major either, and
Right, right.
just sort of doing this swing. So, um, talk to me a little bit about where the Jazz Collective sees itself moving forward. Like, what sort of things do y'all want to do? I know y'all don't get any money from the university. Y'all have to go and raise all your money.
We're fortunate to, we're fortunate to get a considerable amount of support now from the state of Connecticut, but also Yale, the arts program at Yale, and there's a fund that we've been able to benefit from too. So it's a mix of Yale sources and outside of Yale sources. But going forward, one thing I'd like to see, and I think others would as we move back in person, is really just, sort of expanding the circle of the people we're able to bring in for shows. I think being more involved in the community, both at Yale and in the New Haven community, is something that we'd like to do. So like we have a lessons program that we've been piloting now for a while, and we'd love to be able to expand that wider, because I think there's so many people at and around Yale who would really benefit from that. Concerts, being able to do more of those out in the community, interacting more with local venues would be great as well. And so I'm excited to hear the ideas that new members are going to have as well. But that's one thing that I'd be excited to do.
I love it. So when y'all get together to decide who to bring, what is that
Mhm.
like? Like, does everybody throw some names in the hat? Like, what? Like, do you vote? Like, how? What? How do you do it?
I think it varies year to year. Usually there's a decent amount of chaos involved, but I think usually, yeah, there's a list of names we have from people just knowing people who know people, and from those we sort of take some time to listen to them all, check them all out, and then bring in our top picks, and then yeah, we usually do end up having some kind of a vote just to narrow it down.
And then you call people up and say, hey, we like for you to, and you say this has been a long-standing thing that we've been doing here, and I would imagine the people that you call are excited to come and play on the campus and play with some of y'all, because it's a cool thing.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. There's so many of these great jazz musicians, really, they're really involved and care a lot about education and, teaching the next generation about this music. And so we've just been super fortunate with the, yeah, openness of, again, world-class musicians to come down to New Haven, where from wherever they're coming from, and perform for students in the community.
Because New Haven has a rich jazz history.
Absolutely.
Rich
Yeah.
jazz history, which there's some of us who are trying to um, bring that back and to just make sure that it has a place here, that it's not forgotten, that we can swing once again, and people have opportunity to see jazz in a lot of different venues across the city, not just
Mm,
in the places that we know of, but in unconventional places too. So,
yes.
have you created your own music? Have you composed anything? Have you played around with your own compositions and
I've gotten the chance to do a little bit of that. Not a whole lot at Yale so far, but Definitely, there's been a few tunes back home in Chicago. There's a band that I was part of, and so we did a lot of original compositions. It was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's really great to be able. It's nothing like, working on an arrangement or a composition and then being there to see and to feel how it sounds with others, to sort of interpret it together. That's always the best.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna get through this festival, which is I was so excited that it was opened up to the public,
Yes.
because I saw so many other artists that I wanted to see and it wasn't open to the public. And I was like,
Mm.
oh my God,
Yeah, yeah,
why? And I understand why, because the pandemic is still very much present, and this is an institution of higher learning, so student safety is paramount. Um, so, what did you want to do as president of this collective? Like, because I know you're on your way out at some point.
hmm
You're gonna turn over.
Yep.
When you stepped into the role, what did you want to do? And now that you're about to leave the role, what you feel like have you done, or was there something you didn't get to do, or there was a component that would you wish you could have put together? Talk to me a little bit about your experience as leading the collective.
I think I came in, we had one of the largest, I think, groups in the collective that we've had before, a lot of new people coming in. And so what I wanted to do was, I guess, to figure out how we could sort of expand what we're doing, but still, working within what we're in and still continue to be some of the confines of COVID and other things. But for me, yeah, it was really what new directions, what new areas haven't we explored yet? Can we get into, whether that was, yeah, bringing in artists to celebrate, say like Heritage Month or Black History Month, continuing the lessons program is something that a lot of people are very committed to doing, keeping our magazine that we started during the pandemic going, even in blog form. And yeah, having this festival, making it back into person, that transition, I was really glad that I was able to be a part of. And yeah, I think all of us are really happy with how this year has gone. I'm looking forward to see what we're going to be able to get into moving forward.
Was it nerve-wracking pulling this together with the changing rules and regulations around masking and closeness and
Absolutely. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of complaints from horn players about these weird masks they had with holes in them and things. Yeah, it was definitely a lot, but fortunately, there's a lot of really helpful people on the administrative side of things that were able to work with us and help us, keep things going, even though we, yeah, had to work with those restrictions. Um,
I loved it. I loved it. All right, so we got two more concerts left in the festival.
mm.
Jeff Fuller, which is what day is that?
Jeff Fuller is going to be tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow
Okay,
afternoon.
I'm gonna make that. I've got a bunch of things to get to, but I want to definitely come back to catch him. And then you end with the young sister, I think
Yes.
Melanie.
Melanie Charles. Yep, Melanie Charles is going to be Sunday night. Yep.
And what is her style? What, like, if you had to describe her, what should I expect?
I think it's going to be sort of a mix. It's going to be some jazz, soul, and R&B sort of wrapped together. Yeah, Melody Charles is just, person who's worked with so many great people, but still has her own sound. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it as well. But that's sort of that eclectic mix that I think you're going to hear.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you got a chance to come and talk to me today, because I am such a fan of the Yale Undergrad Jazz Collective. I've never been disappointed with any show that I've seen, and it is such a well done. It's such a well done uh, experience of music that you all bring to this community. You know, and I've watched some of the folks that you've brought over the years, and I've watched their star rise. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's a brother from New Orleans who I believe he's a saxophonist. I can't call his name right now, but I follow him on Instagram. There's a bunch of folks who I follow, you know, on Instagram because I saw them at one of the collective's events.
Mm. Yeah, we're so lucky, I think, to be able to have these artists, you know, especially these up and coming artists who you just see skyrocket, and it's just great to be able to witness that at any point.
So now, before I let you go, you never consider becoming making music your profession, or you know, do you think about that often, or do you ever think about it?
I definitely do. Yeah, I think I've given it thought. Yeah, it's always a balance, you know. I'm trying to always think about where can I guess my skills be best applied. Where's the most need right now? And so I think yeah, music is something that I love to do. And you know, I'm so glad that I'm able to do it with others. But yeah, it's always trying to find that path, and I'm sure that music's always going to be there.
Well, I mean, you're a sociology major, so there's something there that speaks to you about the human condition, and trying to make a difference in that regard. And I would imagine, coming from Chicago, um, uh, because we hear so much about the shootings and
Hmm.
the stress and the police and the whole thing. But then on the other side of that too, it is the home of President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle, and his library is coming to the
It
South
is.
Side, and that's got to be exciting. Is that exciting? Are people buzzing about that?
They are, you know, it's been a long process. There's been back and forth over where, how, with the community, and but yeah, I think it's definitely going to be an addition to the city. It's going to be interesting to see, I guess, how it gets used, and you know who's really able to benefit from it. But I'm hoping that it's really going to be something that lifts up the community and the city in general.
Mm. I hope so. I think so. I mean, I love the energy around it, and I love that, you know, they picked Chicago to sort of. I mean, they could have picked anywhere, really.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, their roots are deep, right, on all kinds of places. So it's great that they chose Chicago as the home for the presidential library. So I can't wait to hear you play there.
That would be incredible. Fingers
I'm sure
crossed.
it's coming. Oh, I'm sure it's coming. You know, you and your band and some other folks. I'm sure it's coming. At some point, you'll be there playing. So, Jarron, it has been such a pleasure talking to you. I'm such a fan of the Yale Underground Jazz Collective. I'm so happy that you had a good run and that you got to pull off this festival in these COVID times.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and so glad you enjoyed the festival.
Oh, I last night. If last night, if the next few nights go anything like last night, I'm gonna be in heaven, jazz heaven. Seriously, they were so good last night that you know, it was just the venue was a little challenging to find, but for the most part, I loved everything about it. It was great. So I wish they
Absolutely.
had a CD to buy. I would have bought it.
Looking forward to more. Yeah, I'm sure that I'll have to look into, yeah, where I can find more of that because that was incredible.
It was. Thank you so much, Jarron, and good luck on your studies. Good luck on finishing up the rest of your presidency, and I hope to hear you play somewhere else soon. All right, Harry Droz. I think we're from. I think okay.
I'm back. Thank you so much again.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. And you know what? If you haven't heard this, you look like a very young Jim Kelly. I love your hair.
Oh,
Don't cut
thank you
it.
so much.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So
Thank you.
thank you again, my dear. All right, Harry Jones, we're out. Everybody have a good Friday. If you can't, go to the Facebook page of the Yale graduate, undergraduate jazz collective. They have the information of the jazz festival. Jeff Fuller plays on the 23rd, Melanie Charles on the 24th. You want to go and check this out. Seriously, it's free and it's world class. World class. All right, so y'all have a good weekend in these streets. I'm gonna be everywhere all weekend long, and I hope to see y'all out there. Y'all be good. Bye, Mr. Long.
Bye. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
This is Harry Drove, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven.